Hey folks, Wally DM here, and today our adventuring party needs to get through a door, but the only conceivable way they can find that might possibly open it is a hole in the wall. And in fact, they also find another hole in the wall. Now this puzzle was submitted by one of our Patreon supporters and a valued member of our Discord community, Vaguman. And in fact, if you want to see the written version of this puzzle, you can find it in the puzzle room over on the Wally DM Discord in the ever-growing library of puzzle ideas. Now this puzzle has been in the works for quite a long time, and I'm super excited to present it to you, so let's get started. So today we're going to take a look at a simple door puzzle that you could put in any type of a dungeon, or if I were to run it, I'm going to put mine in some type of a wine cellar. Now as our characters arrive in this room, they're going to need to get through this door that is along the wall, but this door doesn't have any knobs or locks or any conventional means of opening it. In fact, you could probably say that it's magically sealed by a 72nd level wizard. Now you can fill the contents of this room however you'd like. For me, I'm going to have barrels of ale, I'm going to have several sealed bottles of wine on a wine rack, and then I'm going to have a bunch of crates and bags that have some normal items in them. Now as our characters investigate the door, again, they're not going to find any way to get in it, but what they are going to find is to the right of the door, they're going to see a small hole that is in the wall. After they find this first hole in the wall, it won't take too much longer, and then they're going to find another hole in the wall. Now as the rest of the party searches the room, they can find whatever it is that you have set up, but for me, I'm going to have these crates that are over here filled with normal items, and in fact one of the items in particular that I want them to find is bags and bags of ball bearings. And then if our wizard were to come over here and take a look at the wine rack, they're going to find several very good date wines, and all of these wines are going to be sealed with the cork in the bottle. Now if the characters haven't pieced things together yet, I would allow them a DC 12 intelligence investigation check, and they should be able to ascertain that these two holes that are on the wall to the right of the door have something to do with opening the door itself. And on that same check, I would let them know that the size of the hole is about the size of a ball bearing. So if our characters were to take a ball bearing and put it into the top hole, the ball bearing would actually go into the hole and then out the bottom hole. And they can do this as many times as they'd like. So believe it or not, our characters now have everything they need to solve the puzzle. They know that these holes in the wall have something to do with being able to open the door. With everything that's been presented, do you know how to solve the puzzle? I'll give you a second if you'd like to figure it out. Did you get it? Great! Let's go over the answer. Now we've already determined that the holes that are in the wall are the size of a ball bearing. Now if you were to run this puzzle, you may or may not provide the characters with ball bearings like I have. That's totally up to you. But I like to have them readily available so the characters can begin to draw conclusions. And once again, let's not forget, if the ball bearings are put into the top hole, they go right through the top hole and out the bottom. But they do know that these holes have something to do with opening the door. So one of the ways that we could solve the puzzle is our wizard could come over here to the wine rack, grab a bottle of wine, open it, maybe pour himself a glass, and then when he's done, take the cork from the wine bottle and stick the cork into the bottom hole. With the cork now in the bottom hole, the characters can put the ball bearings into the top hole, and they can keep jamming the ball bearings into the top hole until the entire cavity is filled, and it will come all the way to the top. And when this gets filled, it triggers a pressure switch that is hidden inside the cavity of the hole, and when that happens, the door is going to open. And with the door open, our characters can now travel through the door, enter the secret room, or continue on through the dungeon. Now some notes, tips, and tricks on how to make this easier or harder if you want to run this puzzle in your game. The first being that in this version of the puzzle, I provided an opportunity for the characters to find corks on the wine bottles and crates full of ball bearings. Now if you want to make this puzzle a bit more difficult or really lean into having the players come up with something creative, then you can just have the two holes in the wall and the door, and then let your players take it from there. If that's the case, perhaps that top hole, you can allow the characters a DC 12 with some perception check to be able to see some type of mechanism, and give them the idea that if they were to be able to fill this cavity that's in the wall, and if it gets all the way full, they would be able to trigger the mechanism in order to unlock the door. But if you just want a simple encounter, then you can include the wine bottles, the corks, the ball bearings, and perhaps some other mundane items. Now that we're on the track with ball bearings, perhaps we don't provide the ball bearings and the characters come up with something such as taking the ale or taking water, still putting a cork or maybe even a rag or something else to plug that bottom hole, and then they take the ale or the water and pour it into that top hole, and that could be another way to solve the puzzle, filling it with some type of a liquid. But all in all, this is supposed to be a simple puzzle to solve, not really meant to slow down the party too much, so be sure to let me know in the comment section below, how would you customize this for your game? So that's all I have for you today. What did you think of the puzzle? Is it something that you would run in your game? And if so, what would you do differently? In particular, let me know if you would include things like ball bearings and wine corks to help the party solve it, or if you're going to let them just come up with their own creative ideas. And thanks again to Vagabond for submitting this puzzle to the Discord. Be sure to check it out. Thank you very much for watching, and on to the next.